Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Karen Cozier Phillips. CNews is live at noon. Topping the news at this time, persistent heavy rains have made the area's badly flooded situation worse for residents in several parts of the country and have stymied the cleanup efforts. Many families remain marooned and homes are underwater. Ian Wason has been combing the Tunapuna area and we join him via Skype. Good afternoon, Ian. What can you tell us?
Hi, good afternoon, Karen. Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. Well, I'm in Madras. Yes, several houses, well, not several houses, but several yards underwater. Of course, some of the water would have filled the yards. In space, a little lower, 3 families were marooned. They couldn't leave their homes. And along Madras Road, because of water, underwater, there's sort of a truck being shut down around the bend, and of course, I do not have on any life jacket, and I couldn't go any further, so we couldn't get shots of that. But this has been so since yesterday, and one of the residents who I spoke to that he expects that water to be at that level until tomorrow.
Okay, Ian, you seem to be breaking up there a little bit. Of course, we'll keep up to date on the situation there in central Trinidad with regards to the flooding. And there are also reports of severe flooding in the Penal district. Sandra Maraj spoke with a Penal Debe councillor about the situation.
Councillor for the Penal district, Shanti Budram, outlined a number of areas that have been affected.
Penal Road right now is impassable for motoring and pedestrian to pass. Sign Village is underwater right now. The Anthony Branch Trace also underwater. I now came out from Sammy Trace where residents are stranded there right now. I dropped off bottled water for them. They are asking for food. People are volunteering right now. I've gotten some calls where people are asking to come and donate food stuff for these people. Cook food, that is right now, because since Diwali Day, these people have been stranded.
She said the water is coming from the Rock Road area into Goodman Trace and Clark Road. Mrs. Budram said they're trying to provide help, but it's difficult to reach some people.
So our drivers are outside there, the disaster management unit. The CEO is working with us, the chairman of the corporation. All our vehicles are outside trying to assist where we can, because some areas are so flooded up that some of the vehicles really cannot enter these homes and them. So we are trying our best through the disaster management unit.
The councillor estimates people would have suffered hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses.
Appliances and everything, the refrigerators, stoves, washing machines, beds, furniture, everything flooded out.
The Barrackpore area has also been under heavy flood waters since yesterday. Sandra Maraj, CNews.
And one woman at Ragunan and Trace in Debe said she's never seen anything like this before.
The first time we have this type of flood, most of the time we get a little flood and water run away, but this time it ain't gone at all. Since about 2 o'clock this morning, water start coming up, and that is it. It keep coming up all the time.
And the Inter-Island Transportation Company has had to cancel its sailings once again today because of the weather conditions. This means there would be no 4 p.m. sailing from Port of Spain to Scarborough today. The 6 a.m. sailing this morning was also cancelled. The Inter-Island Transportation Company says this condition is expected to continue into the weekend, but the situation will be monitored and an update will be provided. The company says this decision is necessary to ensure the safety of passengers, crew and vehicles on the sailings to and from Tobago and apologizes for any inconvenience caused. This is a CNews Live report at noon. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at CNews Live. Principal of the Siparia West Secondary School is seeking to take legal action against the Ministry of Education. Lawyers for Suku Sanilal have sent a pre-action protocol letter to Minister of Education Anthony Garcia. Attorney-at-Law Douglas Bailey is demanding that Mr. Sanilal be reinstated as the principal by 4 p.m. today, October 20th. Failing this request, they will file for judicial review, challenging the lawfulness and verities of the decision of the Education Minister to remove Mr. Sanilal and seek interim relief. The attorneys are challenging the removal of the principal from the Superior West Secondary School as illegal, unlawful, and ultra-vires the powers of the minister. The pre-action protocol letter states that the Teaching Service Commission is charged with the responsibility of disciplinary matters in law, and Minister Garcia therefore has no power in this regard. Mr. Sanilal was removed from the school on October 10th after a video surfaced on social media depicting a confrontation between him and a group of students. Trauma specialist Hanif Benjamin says more needs to be done to assess the behavioral patterns of children in Trinidad and Tobago. Speaking on Good Morning Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Benjamin commented on the recent school violence images surfacing on social media, saying children learn by example.
No child will wake up and learn to curse from the dictionary. No child learn to bully someone from a book. These are things that are learned. These are behaviors that are manifested through somewhere and through something, you see? You don't wake up one Monday morning and decide to go be violent. Something is causing our children to behave in a particular way.
He also called on citizens to protect the rights of the child in this country.
And whether or not this child fall as a victim and or as a perpetrator, they are both children and they must be protected. And too often, I have seen situations, whether it is on print, whether it is on television and or whether it is on the internet, you know, a stark violation of the rights of the child.
The Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation Garbage Collection Unit has resumed its regular garbage collection services. Responding to complaints from the public, Local Government Minister Kazem Hossain said scavenging remains an essential service to communities and failure to collect garbage on a regular basis can lead to numerous health risks. Minister Hossain said inefficiency and poor performance will not be encouraged. He said his ministry remains committed to working with all corporations to ensure that the burgesses are able to access the services which are crucial to people's daily lives. And the chairman of the Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation, Councillor Paul Leacock, said the TPRC has noted the underperformance of many of their scavenging contractors and has taken action which resulting in a resumption of the full service. Now for the weather for the period this afternoon and tonight, Trinidad, Tobago and the southern windwards, mostly cloudy and at times breezy, with periods of rain or showers are expected in varying localities. There is a small chance of heavy showers or thunder showers in few areas, which can be accompanied by gusty winds. Gradual improvement is expected towards late afternoon. The remainder of the Lesser Antilles, showers in few areas would interrupt generally sunny conditions today. Tonight will be mostly clear. Seas are moderate to rough waves 2.5 to 3 meters in open waters and near 1 meter and occasionally choppy in sheltered areas. The Tobago House of Assembly Secretary Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and the Environment have told workers to do the jobs they're being paid for or they will be held accountable. Tracy Devines, while addressing the audience at the Mason Hall Community Center on Tuesday night, said even as the THA tries to maintain employment levels, productivity must be beefed up. Patricia Nicholson has the details.
Secretary Kwesi Devines said unproductive workers, including managers and supervisors under his division, will be held accountable. Mr. Devines said he has observed workers, specifically those who work early morning jobs, doing as they please.
And we also have to be honest there because the collective bargaining agreement speaks to people working on roads, you know, the morning walk. People may start to work at 5 a.m., but the hours of work start at 7. At 4 a.m. I was driving on the road yesterday morning. Yes, I do that as well. And people are already starting to cut the road by 4:15. Who is their supervisor?
He said he's been informed of shoddy work and sometimes no work at all being done in areas where workers were assigned. He attempted to show up at one work site.
I spoke to the district supervisor. I said, 5 a.m. on Monday morning, we are going down there. Get all the foremen and we're going. I wasn't able to go at 5 o'clock on that Monday morning, but I got a message that day. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. It's the first time I saw the supervisor in the area. The drain is now clean. And that is how people are working. And the Bible spoke about eyewitnesses. It's as if they are waiting to hear that the secretary come in, and then they walk in.
Mr. Devines said the division is trying its best not to send workers home, even though its allocation has been cut.
The first set of advice I got when I came into the division is, boss, we have to send home those workers. Let's cut the workers in development DP, let's cut the workers in URP, because that's dead weight. When I spoke to the chief secretary, he ignored me a couple times because he was not willing to tolerate a conversation of that nature. Because you're looking at people who are earning $3,000 to $5,000 per month, or probably up to $7,000. And that's the first set of people we want to send home. That can't be fair.
He said what's also unfair were workers not doing what they're being paid to do. Secretary Devines urged his employees to give a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. I'm Patricia Nicholson for C News.
In addition, Secretary Devines said efforts were being made to ensure the issue of untimely payments was addressed.
Some of the working conditions weren't right, and I agreed, actually. And it's something that I observed because Mr. Cunningham and I met with every single unit, every single worker of the division. And we realized the working conditions were not right. And what we have been doing right now is workspace renewal.
Secretary Devines was speaking at the Chief Secretary's one-on-one meeting held in Mason Hall on Tuesday night. We've
introduced or reintroduced a warrant tracking system, a more robust warrant tracking system to see where the fall downs are. I mean, recently we had a bad experience with the bank where the bank delivered checks late and workers were paid late. And it's okay, the secretary will get blamed, but it's all right. We got the checks late from the bank, but people have been paid now. And we are doing all of these things to ensure that if you don't get paid yet, check the bank in the morning or 12 o'clock tonight. We are doing all of these things to ensure that the workers can deliver.
We start with news of hockey. The Trinidad and Tobago women's hockey team finally notched a strike in the win column over the Penal Indoor Hockey Championships in Guyana on Thursday. The TT ladies overcame a 3-2 halftime deficit to turn the tables on their hosts, winning 6-3 in the end. TNT scored 4 answered in the second period to secure the win, their first of the tournament after 4 consecutive defeats. Alana Lewis's team opened the scoring in the second minute through Ariel Williams, and Chrissia Lane added a second 3 minutes later before Guyana scored 3 quick goals to take a 3-2 halftime lead. But a double strike from Blair Wynn and a second from Lane plus 1 from skipper Lewis powered the TT girls to their first win of the tournament. The TT men battled Mexico and, despite conceding an early goal, led 6-1 at the half before completing another emphatic 13-2 victory. With the win, they remained perfect with 4 wins and 4 outings, with only Canada standing in the way on Friday. Jordan Vieira led the scoring with a beaver trick, while the Australia-based Akim Tusa continued his hot streak with a hat-trick, while there were 2 goals each for Aiden Degans and Mikel Pear. Back to some local news now. Archbishop Joseph Harris has criticized the education system in the country, saying it's producing failures. Archbishop Harris alluded to the recent spate of violence in schools throughout the country. He was speaking at a press conference at the Archbishop's house in Port of Spain on Thursday. Charlene Lewis reports.
The Roman Catholic Archbishop said the education system isn't at its best, and that's why the system is producing so many delinquents.
We have an education system which produces failures very often. And we have an education system which over the years has come down with various slogans, no child must be left behind, etc. But all those things have put children into situations they can't handle.
One of the problems, he said, was illiteracy.
If you cannot handle a primary school syllabus and end up with 30% in an SEA exam, how are you going to handle a secondary school system? Impossible. But we continue to spawn these, no child will be left behind, and that kind of, which doesn't help.
Archbishop Harris said society must be held accountable for the situation in the nation's schools.
And until our education system starts taking into account learning styles and aptitudes, I think our crime situation is going to continue escalating.
The Archbishop wasn't optimistic that this was an issue that could be fixed soon. Charlene Lewis, C News.
And that's the C News report at noon. I'm Karen Kose-Philip. Remember, for up-to-date and breaking news throughout the day, you can visit the C News website at ctvtt.com. Do have a good afternoon.